6:30. I'd like to get a motion to open the meeting.
Make a motion to open the meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay. First order of business this evening is to approve the minutes of June 15th.
Motion to approve
Very
the
good.
minutes as printed.
Amanda, I know you're not voting this evening on future business, but you were at this meeting. I don't mind you voting on this.
Okay,
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Thank you much. Next order of business is to get right into our, is there any meeting mail, Amanda? I'm sorry.
there is not.
Get right into our appointments. Case A, case 2.0210420B. Continuation of the case of Daniel Furtado, who is requesting two variances from the board for construction of a two-car garage with living space above, located at 22 Ludlow Street, Acushnet, owned by Barbara Pinch. This request is being made under the provisions of section 331E, 331E5. I will say that it's changed a little. The scope hasn't changed, but the building was large with the room above the garage, and you should all have a new set of plans before you, which is 1 story, 1 level. Mr. Furtado brought that way down to scale to get more in line. It was originally a 200% request over and above what we allow based on the square footage. But Mr. Furtado did a great job at bringing that into line with something that fits nice in the neighborhood over there. So I'll let you start us off and give us an update on what you've done.
Yeah, we just took out the whole second floor and decided to just go down and just have a 2-bedroom with the 2 garage and 2-car garage with a small living space. We just did what you guys allowed us to do. So I talked to Jimmy, and once we got everything done, I showed Jimmy the prints, and he said this is much better. And so, I mean, that's it. We kept it the same square, like it was, what was it, 26 by 44?
That's what you
But we
have now,
just-
yep.
Yep, we just took off the whole second floor.
I believe you might have moved it back a little bit
Yeah,
as well, which helps you with that sideline a little bit.
Yep.
That's really my only contention with the whole thing. I think you did a great job at scaling this down to meet the neighborhood, and I don't mind. You know, I would be in favor of variance to help you get this. Again, I'm going to ask for neighbors and stuff. We didn't have any complaints last time, but we'll go there. But I do like what you did with it. The only question I'm going to have either before or after other ones is, there is a separate variance, which we can, again, the scope hasn't changed. What you're doing is fine. We can vote on it tonight. But you got a 7-foot side set on there. And I believe what you're saying or what wants to happen is you're looking to split that street, but that's something that we can't do here. That's a planning board issue. So I'll bring Mark on board a little bit. But it does look like whether or not that street was built or is a street, it never blocks your access to the backyard. So I don't really have an issue with the 7-foot setback, knowing that whether that street ever becomes yours, part of it, or doesn't, there'll still always be access to get into your backyard for any of your, leaching problems or anything else you have. So we've heard him. Is there any neighbors who want to say anything for or against this project? Any abutters at all? Anybody else who wants to speak for or against it?
Just got a question, Bob. Is this going to be rental property?
No, it's not gonna be rental property. I don't live here because it's so small and I have my own apartment in New Bedford. But what I'm trying to do is to move in, so it's gonna stay one family home, no rental, no nothing.
Okay,
Other questions or opinions from the board or anybody want to talk on it?
Excuse me.
no neighbors or anything, no?
Last
Neighbors.
time we did have one neighbor who was for it, and
Yeah.
the owner did say that he had spoke to all the neighbors and they were all good with it even before he reduced it. I really just had an issue with how overwhelmingly bigger than the
Mhm.
bylaws that it was, but
Right,
again, I think he's gone a long ways to make it fit in with the neighbors now, and
That proposed addition is just 26 by 46, correct?
correct.
And what was the street? You had a challenge with the street? Was it on, what's that,
Well,
conduit?
Correct,
Conduit?
it is on Conduit Street, which we know is a paper street, doesn't exist. So, I mean, I do realize they use it as their yard, but it is not. But once again, my issue with the setback or non-issue with the setback is it does come down to 7 foot, which we'd have to approve. But whether the street was there or not there, they still always have access because there's not another abutter for the 40 feet. So I feel comfortable with it. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
Bob, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I'll second
Motion made.
that.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
You're on your way, Mr. Furtado. I'm just gonna let Amanda talk to you for 2 seconds about how to move forward.
Yeah, the board's gonna go down and sign the paperwork with the town clerk's office. If you guys could get it in by the end of the week or so, that'd be great. If you want to reach out to the town clerk's office, I'd say maybe the middle of next week. She can talk you through the appeal period and when everything would be all set to move forward for you.
That is awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for working
You're
with us. I'm
welcome.
glad you were able to
And
get.
Mr.
what you did.
Furtado.
Yeah.
When you go in to sign the paperwork with the town clerk's office, I believe if you hadn't gone in from the prior case, there was a continuation paper to be signed too from the last time it was continued. So if you don't mind signing that while you're in there, doing both.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. It's not what we wanted, but it is what you guys allowed us, and we just made the best that we try to work with you guys. I did want that second floor, but I guess I wasn't. I was a little bit too much. But we're thankful, and we thank you very much for helping us out.
Our job should just try to stick with the bylaws as close as we can and keep everybody in the neighborhood happy and things looking good. So.
All right, thank you
Bye.
very much. So sometime next week, we'll go by there and we'll sign what we need to sign and sign that continuation paper.
Yep, sounds good. I would call the middle of next week just to make sure everything's all set for their end first. So I'd hate you to waste a trip if it's not ready yet.
All right, thank you very much again, guys.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, case B, case 2021-0803A, case of Randall Laterra of 193 Leonard Street, Acushnet, petitioning the board for approval to be able to construct an additional dwelling on his 193 Leonard Street lot. This request is being made under the provisions of zoning bylaw section 331, which allows one single family dwelling per lot. Mr. Laterra? Mr. Laterra, you have yourself muted. You have to unmute yourself before you can start.
All right, there it goes. You can hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Can you
Yeah.
hear me? All right. All right, so the first thing, I'm Randy DeTerra, 193 Leonard Street. So I'm here on behalf of me and my wife, Donna. But as Bobby read that, there's one little thing I believe that's wrong with it. I don't know why they listed it like that. It says the board for approval to be able to construct construct an additional dwelling. Well, I'm looking to remove a mobile home and replace it with a dwelling. So I'm not looking for an additional dwelling. So I don't know why they listed it like that, but that's what we're doing. It's clearly visible on the plan, the old mobile home. But just a little history about my family and this property.
We lost you. We lost you vocally.
Can't hear you, Randy.
And my parents had it for 30 years and they sold it to me.
Mr. DeTerra, I'm sorry, we lost you vocally for a while. Could you start again, please?
Can you hear me at all? No?
Now I can.
You can hear me now? All right.
Yep.
Anyway, I was just getting into the history about the place. I don't know where I lost you, but
Right from the beginning.
oh, seriously. Okay. So the issue I had, you can hear me fine still, right? The issue I had with the way they worded the Board of petitioning the board for approval to be able to construct an additional dwelling. It's not an additional dwelling. We're looking to replace the mobile home on my property. So it's the dwelling of the mobile home is clearly on the plans there. You can see it. We just want to replace it with a building. But anyway, the history of my family in this house goes back to 1945 with my Uncle Bill and my Aunt Lucy, who bought it then. And then they had it for 30 years or so, sold it to my parents in the early 70s. And then they had it for 30 years or so and sold it to me and my wife, Donna, in 2003. And we've had it almost 20 years now. But the reason why we want to replace the mobile home next door on my property, so it sits right next door. I have almost 2 acres of land. My brother's got almost 2.5 acres of land on the side of me. And my aunt and uncle, John and Sue DeTerra, are on the other side of me. The reason why is my parents live on West Island right now. So when they sold the house to me, they moved to West Island. They're down there by themselves. My brother's next door. My other 2 sisters live in the Acushnet. So we're all here, but then we have elderly parents are down West Island. My dad had a massive stroke in 2015, and he's very limited now. He's almost 82 years old. He'll be 82 this month. My mom's 75. She just beat cancer that she had the last 2 years. And we want to have it as basically an in-law replacement, along with my mother-in-law, who just lost her husband last year. And she lives in the north end of New Bedford right now. So it's just an easy way for us to all kind of look out for my wife's mom and my parents, so that they live together here on a single floor, nice and safe. No stairs to worry about for the most part. So that's what we're looking to do. So I just wanted to mention that about, it's not an additional dwelling. We're just replacing that mobile home. And we're just keeping it a 2-bedroom to a 2-bedroom. So my engineer, Dave Diving, and he's going to speak a little after me here, but we're basically keeping it the same thing. We don't see any issues with septic issues or anything like that. So if Dave, you'd like to comment at all, that's up to you.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, go ahead.
Sure, it says number 191. Has that been the address all the time?
Yeah, that I don't know why they list it. So the mobile home's listed 191, but I'm 193. I'm the main dwelling.
I understand, but that's a legal address, 191, correct?
For what? For the mobile home or
home?
for me? Yes, for the mobile
Okay.
home, correct.
Nope, that's
Yep.
good. It's already got an address to it, right?
Yep, it does.
Okay,
Yeah, it has
thank
its
you.
own electric service
Yep.
and septic. Yep.
I'm, again, if any of the board doesn't realize, Mr. Terra is correct. There's always been two homes on there. He's looking to replace one, the one at 191. Much the same as the lot that I live on. I have 930 Middle Road and 196 Lake Street. 2 homes on 1 lot. It was legal when they did it. Obviously, like you said, his parents were there since 1945. So it's definitely non-conforming, legally non-conforming. So 2 dwellings.
Yeah, it's been there
Mr.
50
Davinian?
years now.
You have something to add on this septic or anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, Randy is going to have us do the septic system, and you know, we've done work on his property before for his brother, Bobby, when he built his house 20 some odd years ago. We also did some soil testing for the building he has out back. There's a septic system installed for that. So the soil conditions are excellent. There's plenty of open lawn space to put the septic, to put the house. There are no building setback issues whatsoever. There's ample room. There's also pretty significant screening along the roadside for the neighbors across the street. Nothing will change as far as that goes. There are no parking issues. There will be no change in the driveway entrance. They use one single driveway to access the property. Both houses share a well that will continue. So basically, they're really, it's a terrific site to be able to do what he wants to do, and it really is a technicality in my view with the bylaws. He's simply taken a 2-bedroom mobile home, replacing it with a 2-bedroom conventional home that obviously, you know, wouldn't be 13 or 14 feet wide like a mobile home is made. So in a nutshell, that is the project, you know, and I think it's pretty straightforward. Thank you.
I'd just like to add real quick too that I spoke to most of the abutters and no one has any issues with it. So we're all, we get along with everybody and everybody gets along with us. So, you know, see any
Much
issues.
as I
with
take
anybody.
your word for it, that's where I go next, is once we hear from you, I will ask if there's any abutters who they were all served and could be here to talk. So do we have anybody to talk on 191, 193 Leonard Street?
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
I can.
This is Les Dakin at 187 Leonard Street. And I'm certainly not opposed to this, and also would encourage the board to accept this proposal as written. No one is getting any younger on this call, and I can appreciate the kind of issues that someone with those medical challenges would have. You know, whether it's cooking meals or bathing or walking up and down stairs. So I have no opposition and would strongly encourage acceptance. Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Chairman,
Dakin.
I make a motion. I'll make a motion.
Let's just hear all the discussion first. Thank you, Mr. Dakin. Appreciate that a lot. We all know who you are and value your opinion. Is there any other neighbors who'd like to talk on this, for or against?
Mr.
Sorry,
Chairman,
Chuck, just wanted to clean up. Mr.
Yeah, no
Hippolito.
problem. No problem.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, when the motion is made, what exactly are you voting on? You don't have approval for a variance or a special permit request. How are you wanting this in?
I will say that we it sounded like we were going to have a motion. I don't know if it's for or against, but I think the motion for or against should be to replace the trailer that is existing with a dwelling and of the size, because we do have a plan in front of us, 38 by 40, to replace a 2-bedroom trailer in existence, legally non-conforming, with a 38 by 40 2-bedroom. That would be the same legally non-conforming structure. And I will just add that setback, with the current setbacks off the road as it sits, because that's the way it's drawn. It's moving more onto the property than anywhere towards the front. So I think that's what we're voting for, is to allow the structure to be built in replacing of this trailer, which does have an address of 191 Leonard Street. So if there's nothing else, no, Mr. Davinian, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
I think I can
Oh,
wait.
Leo wants to talk. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I'll
you
wait.
catch up.
I'll wait if you want.
Okay, Mr. Hippolito, please.
Mr. Brown, Mr. Chairman, with the letter from the building department, Mr. Matro, and this bylaw does not allow for one single, or only for one single family dwelling per lot. It does have a temporary, like a mobile home, if you will, And it's been since the 70s, there's no problem. I have no issues with that. I have a problem with putting a structure that's built as a second home on the same property. They should be some that's under the guidance. It doesn't allow the bylaws to have two homes on a one piece for a property. So with my opinion, I'm as much as want to say that, it's something nice to have no house, and you're going to stop when, to me, I think it's not right. That's my opinion. Okay.
Thank you. I agree, the construction of two dwellings on one lot is definitely not allowed. What we have here is two dwellings on one lot. It's always been two on one lot. The alternative is they could subdivide and build two new houses on two new lots, or anything they wanted to, because they could replace it, but obviously they're just trying to keep it in the family and keep it as a more of an in-law apartment, but without the restraints of the footage, which I agree they should be able to do, since there's always been two dwellings on this lot. They have two addresses, they have two dwellings, they've always had it. So the bylaw doesn't allow it because the bylaw wasn't in existence when they put these two on there. They shouldn't be restricted to be able to keep and maintain and have the two.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Paul, go, please.
Are you done? Listen, under the one single family dwelling is a structure. This is not temporary. Temporary is able, and with a mobile home. The other option you have is add the addition to the house, existing house, and you could have your apartment that's attached to the home, and that's legal. That's no problem. What I have a problem with is when you start separating two separate houses in one piece of property. That's going a little far than what the bylaws are allowed. Thank you.
I think we've heard a little of both sides. We've heard neighbors for. Is there anybody else who hasn't had their time to speak?
If I could, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
I think that, there's a section in the bylaw, 3.4C, that talks about non-conforming uses, lots and structures. And that's essentially the crux of it. There's a paragraph in there that says special permits may be issued for the extension or alteration of a lawfully existing non-conforming structure, provided that the Board of Appeals finds that such extension, alteration, or change shall not be more detrimental to the neighborhood. The caveat that under that section, Mr. Mara could issue a building permit, with the exception of there's a comma that goes on to say will not increase the extent of the nonconformance in size or impact. So the key here is that we're seeking a variance to remove a nonconforming structure and replace it, but larger in size. If they could by right build a house the exact same footprint based on this bylaw, as long as they didn't increase the size of the structure, nobody in their right mind would build a house the narrow width of a mobile home. It's an existing non-conforming use. It's grandfathered, in my opinion, and I agree with Mr. Hippolito. If we were here to build a second structure on a single-family home on the lot, that would be, basically taking the zoning book and throwing it out the window. But that's not the case here at all. Like you stated, Mr. Chairman, there are there are properties throughout town, littered throughout town that I know of that have multiple dwellings on properties. They were done before zoning existed. And that's why zoning now exists, so that we don't have an entire town like that. But when you do have a property like this for 45 years, you do enjoy grandfathering under normal zoning circumstances. So with that said, I hope the board would grant the variance. Thank you.
Mr. Lenny, you had started before. I'm sorry I cut you off, but.
Yeah, no,
you
I
wanna make a motion
agree with,
for him?
I agree with Mr. Ippolito, but this all stems back to, I mean, it's, my father was on the planning board in the 70s and early 80s, and with Mr. Ellis and Mr. Sanrizio and Mr. Souza. And back then, when this all started, we understood there was going to be a problem, because this is what's happening. Now we have these all, not just this one, but we have other people's property with the same idea. We allowed them to live there for 20, 30, 40 years. Now those RVs or mobile homes are being decrepit. They're not being kept up. It's very an eyesore to the town, for one thing. But we allowed it, my father to be one of them way back then, for those same reasons. So just my opinion is Mr. Utara is just he's not looking to put a ranch on there bigger than what's on there, same bedroom, same size. This is not going to be the first case we're going to hear about this. So in my belief, I make a motion to accept this.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have an motion and a second to allow the replacement of the mobile home with a single family dwelling for the purpose of basically an in-law apartment to provide some family relief. Plans come to us at 38 by 40. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm an aye. We got 4 ayes. All opposed.
I'm opposed.
Okay, so we have a 4 for and 1 against. So motion carries. Amanda, I'll let you explain the process to Mr. Duterte as well.
Yep, same thing as Mr. Furtado, just reach out to the town clerk's office, I'd say about the middle of next week or so. There's a 20-day waiting appeal period. And they can walk you through when everything will be all set to be picked up, and when you can go down and sign everything. And same thing, board members, by the end of the week would be fantastic if you could get down there to sign, please.
Yep.
Thank you, Amanda. I'd just like to
Thank
thank the
you.
board. And I just would like to add that the reason why we didn't do a attachment to the house, we did think about that. We did have plans drawn up. It's just that it was going to involve stairs. We're just trying to keep the stairs out of it. That was our main reason that it wasn't going to work. So again, I thank the board for the approval tonight.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to our final case, case number 3C. It's case number 2021.0803B. Case of Loreno A. Costa, 175 South Main Street, Acushnet, petitioning the board for a variance to be able to construct a second floor apartment over the 20% floor area ration. This request is being made under the provisions of section 334E5. Mr. Costa?
Mr. Chairman, Rick Sharon, I'm here on behalf of Mr. Costa.
How you doing, Mr. Sharon?
Very good. I'm the engineer who prepared the site plan. We had our surveyors go out there first and locate everything and came up with the existing site plan that shows the existing house and a 1,200 square foot, 1-story slab on grade accessory building to the rear. That building is currently unoccupied. I guess it had previous uses in the past, but before the current owner, before Mr. Costa bought the property. His proposal is to raise that old building and rebuild it. Same 1,200 square foot footprint, but 2 stories. First floor would be a bakery, which his wife plans to operate, and he'd like to put an apartment above that on the second floor. The plan that we prepared shows some proposed parking, off-street parking that doesn't require backing out onto the side street. Jean Street is a side street. This is at the corner of Jean and South Main Street. But in just looking things over before tonight's meeting, I have a couple of questions here, and the primary one is about whether or not this is being considered in the correct zone. When I look at the zoning map, I see 300 feet on either side of South Main Street as being the BV district, and then the RV district being behind that 300 feet, and then from there down to the river on this side of the road. And floor area ratio, while it would apply in the case of the RV district, does not apply, is not applicable in the BV district. So I'm not even sure that we should be in here for this particular request from the Board of Appeals. Can I get any clarification from you in terms of the zoning? Do you, in fact, is there something I'm missing here? How come this is being treated as an RV district when I look at the zoning map, I see BV?
I do agree.
I
with you
believe you're
without
absolutely.
even- Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I do agree that without even looking at anything, I do know that this is in the business district, so that's a no-brainer for me. I don't have the code in front of me to see whether he pulled that. I know it's the ratio is definitely in the R district.
Yes.
I don't have the book in front of me to tell you that it's not in the business district, so I'd have to look that up. If he's mistaken on that, then I agree with you. It's in here. Maybe not that it's not supposed to be here, but for the wrong issue. One of the contentions I had was that it's again another dwelling, and the old building was storage or garage or whatever it was, but it wasn't another dwelling. Where I have no issue with the house out front and the business being added, but the house, the business, and another dwelling, I don't believe is legit. But again, I'm not sure. I think I'd have to go grab my book and see if the inspector does have it in for the wrong thing. Maybe the best thing to do is a continuance, and maybe plead with him to just give you the permit first, or we can move forward based on what my board here thinks. So,
Mr. Chairman, I did in fact download the intensity regulations, and it does the maximum floor area ratio under the BV district says NA, not applicable. So
okay.
That's basically on your website, if you check that out. I guess I don't have any problem with requesting a continuance. If we were to find out that we don't need this particular action from the Board of Appeals, then I imagine we could perhaps forestall a second meeting by just requesting withdraw without prejudice. All right, if we could do-
I believe that would speed up your process moving forward. If you do not need the Board of Appeals, then obviously you don't have to wait the 30 days or any of that stuff. So
Okay.
If that's your decision, I'd gladly ask my board.
I'm not asking for that right now. I'm asking if we can ask for a continuance right now. If it turns out in discussions with Jim Marat that we don't need this action, then I'm just asking if we could just forestall the second meeting with a letter requesting withdrawal prior to that date.
Absolutely.
I'll
Okay.
make a motion that we give Mr. Sharon time. Do you need a motion? on that?
Generally, I'll only allow the continuance if it is requested by the petitioner. So if Mr. Costa, and Mr.
Can I
Sharon
make-
agree that they would rather have the continuance, that's fine with me.
Can I make one
Does-
suggestion?
Go ahead, Mark, please.
Because he's absolutely correct. It's 300 feet on both sides of South Main Street, all the way down to the Fairhaven line.
Great.
So that is part of the business district. I don't have my maps or anything in front of me, but that is the assumption that it has been all along when they put it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it does include Jean Street for sure.
Yep. And I don't have 3.3.4 E5. Is that for more floor area? Is that what that?
Yes,
was?
the
By
floor
law
area
is-
ratio.
Yeah,
And
I do. you know, my relationship with Mr. Sharon, you know, as an engineer goes back, I don't think he's pulling something, telling me that there's it says non-applicable. So I'm not even gonna go check my book right now, especially for continuance, maybe for a decision, but not if he's looking to continue this and try to go back to Mr. Merritt and get it corrected. I do think that's the best avenue.
I agree.
And
Chairman
Mr. Chair,
Brown, Laurie Arnold here. I think you were looking for concurrence from me with.
You are the petition. I will just
Yep.
ask you to ask for the continuance would be the best route for us.
Yep, I concur with him. Ask for a continuance so we can verify this information.
Can I get a motion to continue this case until the next meeting?
Got a motion. Hold on, Mr. Hippolito.
Go ahead. You're gonna make a.
I'll make the motion to continue it to a little more research, and we ask Mr. Merritt about this.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
thank you all.
Sorry, we didn't have all the answers for you tonight, Mr. Costa, but I do believe Mr. Sharon may be onto something, might be able to save you some time.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Right, good night.
Okay, that's the end of our regular business. I'll just ask the board to hang out for one more minute with me.
So, Mr. Chairman, we do not currently have any cases that came in. So historically, just for one continuance, it would hold off to the next meeting. I don't know if you want to put it all the way out or if you want to just do something maybe a little later in September. So if anything comes in between now and then, it would get on maybe like September 21st.
I think what we should do is just give it a couple of weeks before we book our next meeting to see if Mr. Sharon and Mr. Merritt can work out something where we don't need to bring it back. Then we won't. So
For a continuance to be legitimized, it has to have a time, date, and place set.
we need a date. Okay. So we're in August. So why don't we do? We're at the beginning. Why don't we not skip a whole month, but bring it towards the latter part of September?
That's what I was thinking. Maybe the 21st, if that works for everybody.
That'd be great.
Okay, perfect. And then if they do want to withdraw, then we wouldn't need to hold the meeting unless something comes in.
Else comes up. Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda.
No problem.
All right. So again, Matt, come in a couple minutes late. I don't think we went back over it all, but I just wanted to thank Amanda for her service in the past. And you know, obviously she's resigned from a voting member. She's going to stay on and hopefully for a while and be our secretary, because she's our all our information at the moment till I get a little better schooled with the rules of, I know the rules of the zoning, but not necessarily how to do the whole meeting. So I appreciate her being here. And Chuck, welcome. Glad to have you on board. Appreciate you participating this evening. And that's all I have. So if anybody got anything else?
Thank you.
Just want to thank you, Amanda, for the hard work that you've done.
Yep.
And welcome, Mr. Leonard, toward the board.
Great service, Amanda.
Thank you.
Thank you
Make a
all.
motion
And
to
have a great
adjourn.
night.
Bob,
Make a
should we
motion
go
to
after the
adjourn.
Selectmen for another alternate?
Yes, I will talk to the selectmen. I had sent
Yeah.
them a memo recently asking for some, and we got Chuck, but I will let them know we're still short.
And a secretary,
But no alternate.
and a secretary.
Are you
No,
getting rid of me already?
No, she's not leaving.
she's staying.
Oh, as long as you're
She's
staying,
staying.
Amanda, please.
Yeah,
You want a
Come on,
raise?
don't. Easy,
Yeah.
Mark, easy.
yeah,
know
she's
this
about
board
due for a
pays.
raise.
Okay, guys, have a great night.
All right,
Wait,
take
who
care. Thank
seconded
you.
the motion? Hey, we have no second on the motion to adjourn.
I'll make a second.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Night.
Thank you.
All right.